Hi guys. I've been here for like a hot second or two or three. I just had to brush my teeth quickly. 8, girl. But hello, how are you guys? Hope you're doing well. Today, August the 2nd. Can you believe that? We finally jumped into the 8th month of the year. I'm not excited because I go back to school next month, but we'll think about that next month. I need to turn on my headphones. Today we're playing You Indeed what? Oh. Girl. I hope everything is nice. That makes me excited. Girl, I didn't even know you were going to Mexico as well. When I saw the thing yesterday, I was just like, huh? You're going there? Which totally surprised me. But hey, at least you get to experience it before us. Today we're gonna be playing a bit of different games, like a bunch of different games. Oh, I didn't put it in the Dominican Republic, not Mexico. Is it Punta Cana in Mexico? I swear it is. Ooh, my bad. Girl, it looked like the same place. I was confused. Are they near each other? Today we're playing Melatonin. Yes, I think that they're near each other. I don't know. Where? Let's search it up. Where is Republic on the world map? West Indies occupy eastern 2/3 of Hispaniola? What? You called it Hispaniola. Oh, it's near Jamaica. It is near Puerto Rico. No, bro, that whole like area, Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti, San Dominico, Puerto Rico, it's all under the Dominican Republic. Wow. I know my thingy. And then Venezuela's underneath. I think that's Mexico over there. Look at us. Oh, it is, yeah. Mexico's smaller than I thought. Oh, yeah. Oh, what's that? I don't know what that means. So that's our geography lesson for today. Today we're gonna be playing Melatonin. Now you're playing Spanish music? Is this Spanish music? Girl, this is Japanese. Music. I think it's musica. This is Japanese 80s city. Do you want me to play? Well, I'm gonna turn it off anyways. Spanish. Never mind. I'll play Spanish music just so that can beat you. Spanish music 80s, because I know they're gonna play like freaking. I know my headphones. Oh no, you're listening to this out loud. 80s Spanish songs. Ahora te puedes. Oh. It's a music video. I'm wondering when it's gonna start. Now you're listening to this out loud. It's not until the oh, it makes sense. This feels like something my Spanish teacher would play in class. Don't turn it up, please. Latin summer mix. Oh. Latin party visit. Oh my gosh. Hell yeah. It's like gonna turn off in a second because the game we're playing has music in there. But yeah, we played Melatonin before. You guys have seen me play Melatonin. It's a difficult game, at least for me, because I'm not a rhythm person. Playing the Spanish music makes me want to. Actually, we'll play the Spanish music. Oh shit. We'll turn that off for now. Playing the Spanish music wants me to play for the rest of the stream. So in honor of you, Shante, we'll play. Well, I feel like you're gonna be at the pool by then. By the time I switch games. But here we are. In the momentos, por favor. Is that too loud? I hope it's not too loud for you guys. Robs? Yeah. If you guys finish and are getting ready now, or unless you're like walking around. Have you found out how the currency works yet? I don't know if it reset, because this game, you guys know, I didn't officially buy the game, so maybe it can pause or like save it this section. You're gonna go. Okay, so it's safe. That's good. I forgot that I didn't write the Discord note, so I have to write the Discord note right now. Okay. There. We need to get a bot. I feel like getting a bot would make this so much easier, so I won't have to worry about doing that. Yo. Hi, Kazu. Hello, hello. Kazu's. Hi, guys. I feel like half of you guys are here because of the Discord notification. I'm back from the internship. How did the internship go, Jay? And Kazu, how are you? Are you chilling? How's blade building going? Bro, guess what? I'm at 59 wishes. 59! So, it's possibility that we can get him. I was busy doing my journal. Oh, trying a cool caramel cappuccino. Not bad. Send me a picture, Shante. Is it? Well, of course you get a caramel frappuccino. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the caramel frappuccino? I was busy doing my journal. I had so much fun. Oh, that's great to hear. What are some things you did? Being chilling. 小声好声哦，身材我有冰淇淋. Farming a simulated universe right now? Bro, Kazu, I fucking hate the simulated universe. It's like, it's good because... Oh shit. What? I already fucking missed. It's not waking. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna turn down the volume. But the simulated universe is such an easy way to get like rewards and stuff like that. It's like, you know, no reason like not to play it. On one specific day, I went full psychopath. Oh, because I had too much fun dissecting a fish that was still. Huh? I mean, as long as you had fun, Dre. What type of fish was it? There's 2 times off vicinity. There is. I guess we're gonna play. Oh fuck. Oh, why didn't you hit the ball? I don't understand this. Okay, we're gonna go back to that one because that one's not working. I don't understand why that one's not working. We're gonna skip time. This game is so cozy. You've played this game before, Kazu? It's cozy when it works. It's no work. Oh, see? Okay, there we go. I knew it wasn't me. Oh shit, it's me. I don't like this. Oh shit. You know what this reminds me of? Oh shit. I can't focus. Okay. It was a milkfish fry that I tried to mercy kill. But you didn't end up mercy killing it? Is there like you have to like kill the fish first and then you're able to like dissect it? But this one didn't fully, you know, pass away. Okay, I'm gonna try and talk and do this at the same time. This reminds me of because the other day I was talking with a friend and then he started talking about reaction times. And we both took a reaction time test, and he's a really good FPS player. So of course he gets like one of the highest, like quickest reaction time. And then there's me. I get like fucking 290 as my reaction time. And I couldn't handle that because I'm always doing stuff. Oh shit. I'm always doing like stuff in the background when I'm like doing things. So I turned off everything that was going on in the background, all the music, all the videos I was playing, and I took it again and I got like 250. Oh, please don't. Now I can't focus. But you're not supposed to actually go to sleep. No, please, my eyes. Okay. And then so I did it, I turned off everything and I did it again and I got like a more average score. And then that just proved the point. Like my reaction time is so shit. Goodness gracious, my eyes. I ended up dissecting and it got resurrected from. Huh? Ew. Did it make you how did it make you feel like in the middle of like dissecting it? The dude's just like, bro, what the fuck are you doing to me? Oh shit, skull emoji. Honestly, Kazu, even I. Even they both, bro. Jay, you're already doing one better than me because I can't deal with like dead animals. Okay, this we're gonna get 3 stars. Oh shit. No! This game, I don't know if you guys experienced it. It's so bright. Hurts my eyes. Okay. Oh shit. What? Does it get perfect on all the rest? I don't think we're gonna make it. No. Okay. My first instinct when I started moving was to stab it again in the head, but it lived once again with all those organs out. And it didn't really bother me. What? You mean it died once again with all those organs out? We'll move back to this one. It didn't really bother me. What bothers me was that I wasn't bothered by it, which makes me scared that I might actually be psychopathic. Maybe not psychopathic necessarily, but it takes a lot to make you react to something on like that level. Because like say for example, like there's people who don't get scared easily, or there's people who have oh shit, I don't understand this one. Oh, but then do we just have to keep holding it? Bro. We're not gonna do this one. I know we might have to, but we're not gonna do it. Or like there's some people who when like watching gory stuff and everything, they have a stronger, you know? It just takes a bit more for them to react. This year we be given 3 patterns to determine how long your ship will need to charge. Okay. Hold down the action key. No, it's because I actually felt like I actually lost myself there. Maybe that's just your true calling. It's only bad if you act upon those tendencies. Oh. What? Oh, it was like, I don't say you got overwhelmed or anything. But I let go. I don't understand these ones. Other than that, what else did you do, Jay? Oh, so that one worked? I don't know. These holding down ones are going to be the death of me. Because they make no sense. But then that was red, so was that late? Oh. This is gonna be hard to line them up. There's also this other game called Snowbreak Containment Zone that I may want to play on stream with you guys. Because, okay, we're gonna go slow. We're gonna try it. We're gonna see how this next one goes. I've been playing it a lot off stream, and it's actually pretty fun. So maybe I'll play it a bit on stream with you guys. I think this is the third world, that's why the timing's gone so... so meticulous. There should be a perfect, early, almost, and a late. Because sometimes we almost get it. Are there people who actually do this, like, without the reference? I don't know how someone would do this without the reference. They need to stop having holding things, or else I don't think we're gonna pass this world. We have to go back to the second one and hope. We can 3-star that one. It's a possibility. Because we're definitely not getting 3 stars on the other ones. Maybe I'll play a bit of Starville just so we can get one more wish. And bring us to 60 wishes. So that means we'd only have to collect 30. Because I was able to do some of the Forgotten Hall. So like the... Oh, I was looking. First level of the Forgotten Hall is completed. But then you move on to the second level. And it's like straight difficult off the bat. Because you need 2 wind element characters. I only got done hang. And it's hard to like Can I space it out? Because both of them need that so badly. So I can't even get... any more Stella J's. Oh shit. I wish they allowed you to use supports in... oh no. In Simulated Universe. I'm losing it. Guys, I'm losing it. Okay. We're not gonna 3-star it. Wait, anyway, start. But anyways, finally done with my journal and shit. And now time for my internship story. Ooh! They only hiked around the school since it was on the side of the mountain and it was huge. Oh! Did it have a good view? Or should I save my questions for the NJ? Or can I ask as you tell your story? I feel like hiking's so much fun. But it's like tired. People who hike got fucking stamina. And leg strength. Oh, also, I was thinking of changing my model. But that's like another story. Okay, those are all too early. You can ask. Yay! Also, yeah, you had a great view of the ocean. We have a few pics now. That's exciting. Even though oh no. Did you have to do a lot of stuff in the rain? Or like go outside and like when it's wet and stuff? Hope you didn't get sick. I'm already going cross-eyed. This might be like a daily thing. Like every time we stream, we just do like 30 to 40 minutes of this. Until like I can't like look straight anymore. And we'll just slowly work our way through the game. I feel like it storming though would be fun. At least to me, because I like the rain. I have this game on my Switch, so I'll start playing it on that to practice more. We'll get the patterns down, and then I'll come back and be like, guys, listen. So I kind of got the patterns down. This part, at least though, is a lot easier. I lied. Alright, so we're gonna go to the next one. We're gonna go to nature. Why not? Day 2, we cleaned some seaweed to avoid contamination for growing since... Oh, you cleaned it, like the actual seaweed, like while it was still in the ground? Two patents? We've done something like this. Oh, that was perfect. Oh yeah, so he said. Oh no! Maybe we should try to find games that improve our reaction time and slowly play them on stream to see how much better reaction time can get. No, we got like the little pieces and brushed it and then put it back in the ground. We also looked around the fishery for random seaweeds to isolate and play around with. Oh? Does seaweed need to be in the ground to grow or just in water to grow? Water? That's so cool. And it has to be specifically like saltwater? What do you mean I was late? I was perfectly on time. Also, there's a game, I don't know if you guys know, called Dave the Diver. I've seen a lot of people play it, and I kind of want to play it now. Oh shit, that was my fault. Sorry. I like this one. That one's nice. That's how you could fall asleep too. We're almost at 3 stars. Which was fun because I got one that was mixed red and green. Red? There's red seaweed? What the hell? And I'm specifically red-green colorblind. Oh, different seaweed grows in different environments. Are there other color seaweeds besides red and green? I took Tarzan on my way to get a sample because it was pretty slippery and getting water was risky. Oh, I'm stupid and brave enough to risk getting wet for it, but luckily, hell yeah. Maybe you were a jungle person in your previous life. By Tarzan, did you mean you fucking climb trees and stuff like that? I don't know about other color. Oh. Like imagine there was like gray colored seaweed. Okay, that was late. Or Sunhaven. I wanna play Sunhaven. I miss Sunhaven. Guys, I made it to like max hearts, but it said I didn't finish enough of the dialogue to marry June. And I had like the ring ready. Y'all know I had the ring ready and everything because I bought the ring first, thinking I could just fucking give him a ring and we'd be married. But then that didn't work, so we had to finish more of the dialogue. And then hopefully soon we can marry June. But I don't know. We're not gonna get anywhere with this one. I just sneeze. But I know that there's red seaweed now. Let's see if there's any colored seaweeds. Cause that is interesting. But the weed are there. Red, green, and vermilion, orange, and brown. What the heck is vermilion? Well, there's like 5 colors. At least. I couldn't tell you what vermilion is, but you know. God, you just remind me of Sunhaven. I think there's a new update. There is a new update? You're lying. Okay, we're gonna play Sunhaven. Should we switch over to Sunhaven now? Should we give Sunhaven a little gander? And the furry I was waiting for is finally out. Actually, fuck the summer fire though. Like, oh my gosh. Day 3 wasn't much other than mixing. Mixing? What'd you mix? We're gonna try this one more time. And then we'll move over to Sunhaven. Jay, I feel like you've made so much more progress than me in Sunhaven. Even though you played for a shorter amount of time than I did. I'm jealous of you. I need some advice. How do I marry someone? This is my first time. I just want to play Valorant, but at this point my computer can't handle Valorant. So I feel like it's gonna be like a hot minute since you guys see me play comp. Maybe we can still play like Swift plays or like Spike Rushes, but I don't think we could play comp until I upgrade my computer. What should we name the stream for Sunhaven? Kazu. Now you're calling out Kazu. Like chemicals and seaweeds and shit for isolation. That's a thing. Cause I played Sunhaven 15 hours straight on one day. Yeah, that's more than I did in like how many of my days combined. 8 stars. We're gonna try this one. As long as we can get this one to 2 stars. Day 4 we cooked jelly using seaweed and added some coffee flavoring. It tasted sour and oh no. Did you add sugar to it? I have 37 hours on time. We'll see how much I have. I low-key might have the same amount. Or like a little bit less. Oh, we're trying to hit the clock. Okay. I see. I can't get the beginning part. I just want to play Apex again, guys. Like, I remember I played it on stream like once or twice, but that's when like I first started playing Apex, and I didn't know what I was doing. But I want to play it on stream. Yeah, Vivi's house. I think there's a new Vivi. Is that a new character? I might start over again with my life. Oh, just wait for the new update of it. Oh, the friendly beamer with Rev. Honestly, Dre, give me like a character to play, and I'll like, cause I liked playing Lifeline, but like that's because she has such a support. I don't want to rely on like support characters anymore. As a Rev main, I'm kind of not a fan of the tactical change. I'ma be honest with you, Dre. I don't know what the heck you're talking about, but I understand. You want loot Loba. I love Loba. She's one of you know what I need to do, Dre? I need to play the game more so I can unlock more characters, because besides the beginner characters, I only have Loba. And do you know why I got Loba? Because she was pretty and she had big assets. You wanna fly a Valkyrie? Valkyrie's cool. You know who I like? Seer. Seer's so cool because he reminds me of Lil Nas X. Should we play Apex? Who should we play? Sunhaven or Apex? Or both? There's too many options now. No, fuck. Why don't you like Seer? Seer's a girly pop. Seer's your gay best friend. Once I actually understand what this was trying to do, it made it a lot easier to understand. As long as it doesn't speed up. Okay. We completed the level. Lobo was my first too because she can teleport. Yeah, I keep messing up the teleport though. It's so funny. I accidentally press like E and she throws her bracelet and I'm just like, oh shit, no, and I press it and like she goes down like halfway through. He's completely broken, right? Oh, his Q's like 3 different ability mixed that has what? Oh, so he's like good type of broken. She's the reason I left. No, he took everything from my Revy, but they're fixing Rev, correct? Or at least like making him more balanced. Rev was good because of his Q. It was one of the best things about his kit, and the devs took it and gave it to Seer. Actually, it sucks when. Which one's Rev again? They didn't fix Rev, they broke him to tease his rework. Oh. Maybe that's smart. Oh no! Because then they might want to make people be like, okay, we're gonna make you not like him, but then we're gonna do you one better and make him good. You're gonna make him gooder. And then you guys are gonna want to come back and be like, oh my gosh, they fixed Rev. It's so amazing. You know, I don't even think I could play Apex or Sun. I have to update both of those games actually. Whoopsies. I didn't miss that one. Oh, we got that one. Well. Well. Huh? You can tell this one with the best decks he's done it like 4 different times. But they completely changed his cute. Oh, Revenant is the edgy skeleton robot. Oh, that dude, the one who freaking plunges a syringe into his leg to run faster. That has every right to be edgy. I can see the appeal, Jay, to you for robots. I can definitely see it. He's awake. Good morning. Night 4, goddamn. Because once you know Revenant, you'll know Fear. Oh, bro, that whole game scares me. I'm such a noob when it comes to FPS. That whole game scares me. If Rev hit meta, then that's cool. Oh, but he's at a comfy spot not being meta. I feel like the characters that are not meta are best because then you can like make them kind of like into your own. $3.6 Alright. Proceed. What game should we play? Since nobody picks him, I get to play Rev all day and not bother learning it. Oh, that. I feel like Dre, you have that, and then there's like one person who somehow just chooses Rev like out of the open, and you're just like, you're weird. Why are you choosing a character that I normally play? Maybe got his Funko. You know who's that's so cute. Should we play Apex? Or should we play Sunhaven? I feel like Apex would be a longer update. Is his Funko Pop cute? You know who's Funko Pop I wanna get? Life. What's her name? Lifesaver? Life Alert? Lifeline? Oh yeah, Lifeline. I knew that. to prepare to. We're gonna say. Our Sun Haven. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna change this back to this. We're gonna play this because I'm feeling for. Just think about it, nobody even knows who he is until you're at like level 100. If we give you play, I'll chat once again since I get this every game to come back to. Oh, play Sunhaven with me. I should update Apex in the background. Would that be a smart idea? No, that's where you're wrong. I don't get mad when someone picks ref. I get happy that I'm not the leader player out there. Yeah, that's like, hi, you're a fellow Vet player. Hello. I'm not alone. That sounds so bad. Oh shit, sorry. Life alert. I'm gonna call her Life Alert. Help. I'm falling and I can't get up. Oh, I have 22.5 hours on Sunhaven. Where's Apex? Apex! Apex leggings. Oh, there is no update! If you can't see it, the last time I played it was May 5th. That was 2 months ago. Time to Sunhaven once again. Actually do hell yeah. It's like meeting another one from the small. There was a it does play single player new character. It's like meeting another one from a small town to my big. That is so true. What? Choose race. We could choose a race now? No, I lied. Bro, it's been so long since I played this. I don't even remember. This seems new. You were always able to? Yeah, I realized. Dre, I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't came to this screen since like the first time I played this game, and that was like 2 or 3 months ago, whenever it is. Look at the cat. Aww. You can be royalty. Girl, what if I want to be royalty? You know what I'm gonna do? Should I be human or furry? What were you the first time, Dre? Be whatever you weren't the first time. What I want to do is I either want to be a royalty and marry Liam, because Liam is like a baker, or yeah, that's it. That's the only 2 people I'm interested in, really. Play a single player. I was human because crafting speed sounded nice. Be a furry this time. Wanna see what it's like to be a fairy. Maybe it might change it. Maybe you'll get walking speed or something. we're gonna do speed up these days. So they're 15 minutes. Bro, I'm still in spring. These need to grow. We have not much to do actually. We just need to probably get through. Okay, here's where we are with hearts. This is Lynn. I don't know why Lynn keeps going up. I don't want Lynn. June. With dating. I need that last heart. Then there's Liam. Liam's cute little our best friend. Oh, Wartheart. I wanted to date the doctor. Holy shit. There's so many people. Who should we be if we date the doctor though? Should we be a spellcaster? You think that would be cool? Who are you? Oh, are these the animals you can buy? Does he stay there forever? A white and black pushing this. You could transform into a penguin? That's crazy. I don't know what we're trying to do. I need my... There's a lot of stuff we have that needs to be donated to the museum. June! Hello! Girl! Cattle or doggo? Cat. Most definitely. You're looking good too, doctor. Bro, the lines, some of the lines that they say after you start dating has me like kicking my feet, blushing, you know, grinning. I'm just like, god damn. Cause like June says something and I'm just like, hold on. Give me a second to process it. Should we give him an apple? Sir, would you like an apple? You know what they say, an apple like a day keeps the doctor away. Oh man, do you have any idea how many oh! Give a... Damn, that was it. Dre, have you given an apple to the doctor yet? Give an apple to the doctor. Do you have a question for me? Look at your question for me. I haven't, but I know what would happen. Actually, you knew what was gonna happen and you didn't tell me. What if he likes some... My sisters are really interested in you, but by that I mean farmers. They've never seen food. Aww. Would you like an apple? Hell, see? I know what he likes. Find the lost wheel to the east. There's like some thingies like that one that like I don't understand. What did we want it? Northeast. Okay, they want us to go east, right? But when we go east, we're going like... How far east are we going? We're just gonna... Guys, we're gonna keep traveling. And if we pass out during the day, you know, we'll pay money to go back home. It's okay. Because we had to come here to... Oh, but I think it could be blocked off by one of those guys. Those big bear guys. We were able to get the one up here with like the bananas. It was so cute trying to get the bananas. We had to fight a ton of monkeys and stuff like that. I was just like, wait, how do you get bananas? That's so confusing. And I bitch slapped a monkey and I got a banana. I don't think that sounds ethnically correct. Actually, but if we're trying to go that far, we should make the day a bit longer. We'll make just this day a bit longer. Oh no! And then how you can get like... Is there anything here? Nope. How you can get like pepper flakes from the scorpions? And sriracha from other bugs? They made this game so unique. And then I figured out like on the trees, I thought you had to like... Oh, there's someone's book. Can we? Okay. Hello. So wait. Jam. Okay. How the silk on the trees, you're able to just swipe it with your sword. Like, see? And the silk comes off. So crazy that is. Also, oh, they do. Actually, I was about to say, if the monkeys throw bananas at you, it doesn't do damage. I swear it didn't do damage last time. I wish the same thing applied for like the mushrooms, where you're able to like pick it off and not just off of trees. God damn, there's so many. How do you see me already? What I don't like about games is that the combat is easily choosable and sometimes unfair. It's never fair for both. Yeah, that's true, Jay. Like this one, you can just jump through them. Is this a dead end? It is a dead end. Like half the time passing through like stuff, you're just jumping all over the place. So Ray! What is your favorite part about the game, Ray? Let's go up here. We'll go... Ooh. Is the music... Okay, the music seems too loud. Let me turn the music a bit. It could just be on my end. Yeah. What's your favorite part about the game? Oh shit. So Ray... What the hell? Oh, you have a book too? Should we risk it? And money? Oh shit. Oh goddamn. Nah, bro. I shouldn't have done that. Look, the way they like eat the thingy through the mask. It looks so weird. Okay, so I want to know what these... Do they drop pickles? Oh shit. So Ray, okay. Oh shit, I'm gonna die. I'm surprised how the shorty sees us, but the elders don't. What does R do? Oh! It uses the magic! Can we jump? Oh shit, sorry. Sorry! Oh, there's another book. Okay. We're gonna. Oh, we have a lot of fun. Okay, we have a lot of apples. We're gonna smash a shit ton of apples. Alright. Alright. Okay. The apples didn't work. The apples didn't work. Oh, we made it though. Excuse me. Like stuff like that, being able to just run straight through everything requires a Sunlight key. Damn. It's 510. Is this where Elios is? Elios, bitch. I came all the way up here. Not for you. This feels like a waste of time. Well, at least Dre, you know not to go up there, or anyone else who plays Sunhaven. Unless you need to see Elios. But then if you need to see Elios, there's always someone to escort you there. Alright. I want to beat those guys to see what we get from them. But there's too many of them. Sorry, I'm just a passing, bro! Okay. At least it brought us home. Is Warner here? No, he's not here. It saved us from a massive trip. Hello? Hi, Eru. Hello, how are you? How you doing? You just got me some bitch slapped by fucking pickle, whatever they're called. Pickle cactuses. But how about you? I hope work is going well. It's not okay, we can speed up the day again. I'm trying to not really speedrun this. Actually, no, I lied. I am trying to speedrun this. I want to marry June. But I can't, because we're not far enough in the dialogue. Use this movement speed. We need some more money still. I'm kinda going broke. One day we need to go fishing. The fishing in this one is kind of weird. I'm killing inventory in a container. In a container, so it feels like hell. Like in a big container. I kind of want to buy what he's selling. Is it hot in there? Which potion? Or is your arm still hurting? Is that dying? I hope it's the former. Like the shipping containers. Oh, damn. Are you able? Oh, I can sell it. Oh, like a banana. Are you able to like step out for a bit? Like step out for a section, get out of a fucking hot metal container, and go back in. Yeah, my back hurts a little more than it did yesterday. You know what that means? Oh goodness, my nose is gone. Should we sell this? I feel I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I need the money. Fuji case. Do you guys listen to Fuji case? Yeah, I can, but you know, best case scenario is I pass out and I go home. But what about your monies? You said you didn't have to go to work, but because you need monies that you go to work, but now you want to pass out. What about your monies? What if you don't pass out and now you just feel like shit? Because you've been in a hot metal container for hours. At least you don't have to talk with many people. At least I don't think you do. I mean, if anything, I could always hit up your work and be like, pretend to be like a grandma or something. And they'll be like, why do you sound so young? I'd be like, I know I am. Thank you for acknowledging my youthfulness. I'd get paid to go to the hospital, which would take all day, and then I go home. But like, wouldn't you be charged at the hospital, or would the work cover that? Because it was like a work-related illness. What time do you have to go to bed by again? It's 2 a.m. No, it's 1 a.m., right? I forgot. Jay, do you remember? It's just me out here. I had music playing till I decided to pop into she. Well, hello there. I hope I'm a decent replacement in terms of music wise. I'm a mere stuffy nose person. Yes, I would like to sleep. No work would cover. Ah, that makes sense. I have a feeling I'm not even gonna front. I have a feeling you're not gonna pass out. Your body does like weird stuff that it's so like stubborn sometimes, where it tries its hardest to like stay up and stay awake. Until like it absolutely can't, like, you know, keep up anymore, and then maybe you'll pass out. But then if you're alone, no one's gonna find you. And then you're there like laying on the ground fucking knocked out, and then someone finally sees you. You're like, oh my goodness, what happened here? Then you're like fucking half cautious. I need to go into our museum box. You go there. I'm not, my body's down. Your body's not dumb. Your body's just in survival mode. It's like, what is this grown-ass man doing? Keeping us fucking locked up in this hot-ass box. It hurts a lot, but not enough to keep me from waking. Honestly, if it hurts as much as I'm thinking, that should be able to keep you from working. You shouldn't have to be pushed to the point of like fucking physical immobility to not have to go to work. If it's enough to like hinder you, even a little bit, that should be a decent pardon against work. I don't know why you have to be fucking on the verge of death for them to be like, okay, you can take a day off. And it's like, wow, thanks, bro. I almost had to die for the day off, huh? I have no water. You should just tell them that you can't move. Your right arm has become immobile and you have to go to the doctor, and yeah. What are they gonna do? Tell you to move it? Let's stop. There's no water again. I need a fucking bigger watering can. Clovers. Anyone want a fall leaf clover? Do you think it's a lucky one? All that sells for $2.25? Oh no, it sells for one each. What? Oh, this is the wrong thing. Oh, it sells for 15 each. That makes sense. We are gonna go look. For a watering can. Miss Cynthia, your flowers, your berries. Oh, Catherine, there's the name. Oh, what? Oh my gosh, thank you. Amulet, I can't put it there. Oh, it's a keepsake. But what about June's diary? Someone special to me? We're special to her? 10 health, 15 mana, 10 ticket. I don't think we need that, mainly because we don't use much magic as of right now. If we had used more magic, then maybe. You know what we should have gotten? Okay, we're gonna bring the ring, right? And every day we're gonna propose to June. That may be a bit overwhelming to him, but it's okay. It's a game. He won't understand. He'll just forget about it tomorrow. Oh, the guy is gone. That is a little upsetting. Is this ring? Okay, engagement ring. Perfect way to propose. Alright. We're gonna test how far we have to get. Oh, I've been covering up the characters this whole time. I forgot when I play Sunhaven, I have to turn my PNG around. You have to give him more stuff. No. Liam, would you like wheat? I don't even need to give you anything. Oh, Look at the music. Okay, there we go. We earned it back. Is June still in? I think June is outside. It's already 12. I'm not used to the time being only 15 minutes. Now it's starting to feel a little bit more like Stardew Valley. Where is he? June. Oh, you're in the library already? I remember I always wanted to make it because I asked June to be my girlfriend in the library in front of the kids. And so I wanted to do the same thing when I proposed. Is this a library? No, this is not. This is a library. But I did that the first time and I said, you need to get... Oh, no, sir. Goodbye, sir. I'm trying to get inside. Thank you. I'm back. I got my character. Ooh. How's your character this time, Jay? Are you vibing with it more than your other character? June, okay. Is your farm quiet? I'd love to relax with you sometime. You think it's gonna work? He's a dog warrior? Oh. Which is worse than my first. Oh no, but I might play it tomorrow. That makes a lot of sense. Isn't it late for you right now? You must be dating this character, unmarried. We are dating, yes. We're unmarried, yes. Achieved 15 full hearts and progressed far enough into the dialogue to marry this character. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. But like we gave him gifts and he doesn't. Okay. It's 12:30 a.m. Do you consider that late or like fairly early, Dre? Because some people go to bed at like 10 or like 9. I'm still so tired, which is like understandable. That used to be me when I was in like high school. It's late but not late. I see. You're like an early sleeper. Late for me is like 2 a.m. Really? You think I go to bed really late? Because that's the time I go to bed. You know what I've wanted to do? One day I want to do a stream like later in the day. So like people who normally have to like go to bed earlier we'd be able to like talk or like interact more if they like stop by. I need the little thingies for June, unless we need better. Unless he wants a rose. We'll bring both of them. We'll decide on our way. Late is where I actually fall asleep like a rock with a blankie. With the weighted blanket. I sleep this late because I have nothing to do. Isn't it summer break for you? Can you believe we're almost back in school season? No, just blankie. Oh, I see. Weighted blankies for when you can't sleep? Yeah, summer break. Summer break is zooming by. It really said, oh, you wanted a break during the summer? Well, guess what? You're not getting it. But school starts 3 weeks from now. 3 weeks? You started a lot earlier. Okay, June. What should we give him? A rose or... this, because we've been giving him this entire like run. Black diamond? Trust me. Did I have a black diamond? Black diamond cheese string. A chinable cheese. I'll go look in my chest. I'm also in the mood to play FPS games. Like one day, if you guys just see me sitting in the Discord like gaming channel, just doing a stream, it's because I'm streaming FPS games, because that's like the only way I could stream them without it lagging at least too much. That's our food chest. Oh, we did. Wow. Jay, if he doesn't like this, we're gonna fight. I'm gonna reset this day and we're gonna have a serious chat. What a coincidence. June. It feels weird talking to you at this angle. Hold on a second. Let's stand. June. Okay, you're gonna drop off the kid. I enjoy getting bullied though. I don't think that's good. But then again, there's me. But bullying is different from what my type. Oh! Okay, great. He likes it. Thank you. At first I read this and I said I don't know what to say, and I'm just like, he hates it. You bet. You betcha. See, trust me. Thank you. I just have trust issues. But look, it's like this. I don't know how to get that last heart. He doesn't like it. He loves it. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Which is one full heart. Yeah, but I don't know how to get that last heart. I don't know if there's something else we have to give him to get that last heart. Because I've been giving him gifts, but it doesn't seem to make the heart go. We're gonna go to town hall to see if there's anything we should give him. Because if so, yeah. I might reset the day to get the diamond back. Bernard, what services? This is what I got for you. Alright, sir. We can't give him a engagement ring. Unless the story has to get farther. We're gonna do a little bit of research. Just a tiny amount. How to marry a character in Sun Haven. After a date, dialogue cycles change. The player may continue to give gifts to NPC in order to increase resources. But like, it doesn't make us get the 15th heart. I'll either play Sunhaven or Calamity. Which one are you leaning more towards, Jay? Everything you need to know about romance, August 24th. 2022? It came out in 2022? Both? Why don't you flip a coin? 2021? You're lying. Wow. It's almost been out for 2 years? Because I don't know what I'll like. Why don't you start playing like one game? And then if you don't like it, then you switch to the other one.
You're able to enter their home in between 8 p.m. and 8 bars and sunlight bars, along with anvils and some other items. Now, this will also show up in your relationship, an NPC on a day or not step of their relationship, like dating or marriage. If you're stuck at 10 hearts and they haven't agreed to date you yet, or stuck at 15 hearts and haven't talked to you about being happy in a relationship and getting married, keep talking to them. Your dialogue is just a little bit behind of your heart level.
I don't have 15 hearts though. What are you staring at, Haru? You haven't seen the girl searching up how to try to marry someone? It's not as easy as getting down on one knee, supposedly. You actually have to talk to them. Who would have expected? I'm gonna jump off a cliff. I'm gonna die. This dude's a musician. What if we dated the, like, musician? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I was never gonna talk to you anyways. Oh, shit. Bye. Talking to women? Ew, sorry, sir. I didn't know you didn't like that. I'll just get my 6-inch ready to prove that I'm not a woman anymore. So ready to disappoint. Talking? It hurts me. Why? Why you hurt? Don't hurt. Who hurt you? You hurt yourself? I'll fight yourself for you. Someone else hurt you? I'll fight him for you. Clover? Do you think it's we're gonna keep the flower? I'm scared of talking. Don't be. It's not as bad once you actually get started. And I feel like you find the right person, I'm sure talking would be like the greatest thing. You'll enjoy it a lot more. If you're scared of talking to certain people, that is completely understandable. If you're scared of talking to women like Haru, you should be. Only if you're Haru. If you're any other person, I'm sure women are not scary to talk to. They're actually pretty nice. I want 7-Up. Or the Blue Mountain Dew. No, I'm down to talk to like friends. Oh, public speak. Dre, you and I, we're like this. And by this, I mean like crossing our feet. We're like twinsies. Because public speaking, I don't know if I've ever told you guys this, but like one time I had to do like a presentation for a class, and like 30 seconds, not even within the presentation, I was like shaking. Like I couldn't speak straight. And you could like hear my voice shaking and everything. So I understand you on the public speaking, Jay. It's not easy. Where is our water again? We need to water our plants. I want to listen to some K-pop. This empty ready. They love talking to me, but I don't want to talk to them. Damn. Alright, sir. I ain't see you get bitches, so I don't know about that one. But, I mean... Why do you turn them away? Why don't you indulge them in conversation? Bro, you got Riz, but you ain't using it? Honestly... I can agree on that, mainly because it's the truth. But low-key, he got no Riz. It is what it is, bro. It is what it is. I don't strike because I wanna. You like a mom when they're just like, oh, why can't we get McDonald's? Because there's food at home. Egg, hi Kazu. Kazu like Binko Bink. Is the grass not tilled? I don't try conversations, but if someone talks to me, I actually try to find a way to make it last a while. Yeah, that's true. I know what you mean. You don't initiate it, but if they want to talk, you'll talk. But you're not gonna go out of your way to talk to them. That's how life should be. Because then you can like kind of judge how that person talks if you like haven't met them before or something. The way this fits well together, I like it. Talking to people just consumes so much energy. I need to watch the time, it's going by too fast. Riz is done, just don't be an asswipe when you're already doing better than the most. That is true. That's step one. But then step two, you gotta woo the girl. Or the guy. Or the person. Whoever you're talking to. Just being nice is gonna get them to be friends, right? But you're trying to be more than friends. So you gotta make them feel special. You gotta make them blush every now and again. You gotta make them leave your conversation giggling, kicking their feet, you know? So, and then that's when they start developing feelings. And then you work on that. And then boom, you're dating. Just because you're better than the most. I'm pretty awkward, that's why. Dre, you can be awkward and still have good riz. Don't underestimate yourself. What do you think I am? I got that barista riz. Kazu, let us hear some of that barista riz of yours. I feel like you'd say something cringe like, are you a latte because I taste you, or something like that. And then they go like, what the fuck? And you're like, hey, it is what it is, homeboy. Okay, I wanted to know that you fixed it. No problem. Combat, exploration, combat. Thank you. Actually, we should talk to you. Ew, ain't nobody special enough for me to want to do that. Raise them up? You just haven't found someone special enough. Once you do, you be thinking about them all the time, and then you want to like talk to them, and then no matter what happens, you'll always be by their side, and then you're like chilling, and then next thing you know is like 10 years, you're fucking married and have like 2 kids. I kill growing feelings, and if I can't kill them fast enough, I let it go. What? Why do you kill it? Well, it depends. If you're not attracted to the person, that's understandable. But like, what? June! Hi. Painting? I'll teach you sometime. You, ha! Damn. Gonna be the best dad. WViz or WViz? I don't use words, I do gestures. Cause you know what you remind me of? I'm reading this book right now, and one of the male main characters always does gestures, and like the female main character finds it attractive. That's what you do. And it's like so ominous and so mysterious that yet the person would just stare at you and be like, oh my gosh, that is so attractive. Sorry, I'm not gonna do that again. Not raising them up, make them feel special. Fuck that shit. But why not? What if you like genuinely like them and you genuinely want to make them feel special? Like twice feel special? You made feel special. It'll be like, you know. In that case, that's understandable. But then that's only if you like are dedicated to that one person. The problem is when you make more than one person feel special. That's when we're gonna first date. This game is a homework day with you. Sheesh. Skull emoji. Kazu would give them like a cafe drink that has like a "Ayo shawty, can I get your number?" written on the top of it. That's the thing, even if it smells of kindness, I immediately love the person because I love it when people just notice I exist. Ah, that makes sense. So you kind of had to decipher whether it's like you actually like them or just you like them because they're acknowledging you. The Lantern Festival's tomorrow? The Lantern Festival's tomorrow? Dude, the Lantern Festival is tomorrow? It must be easier working alone. Adios! To people out there who was nice to me at least one time, know that I will die fighting for you. Aw. We'll die fighting for you too, Dre. And if I don't die, just know I would be fighting. Still. How can we? Okay, let's... Oh! You're gonna want to take me another day, aren't you? Not right now. Come here. I told you. Elios didn't bless me. Imagine. That seems like a skill issue. Anyways, I'm gonna sleep. I'm a little tired today. Good night. Good night, Jay. Sleep well. Hope you have a good rest. Thank you for stopping by. I'll start practicing more Apex, so next time you come in, I'll be like a... What is the highest level in Apex? Predator. I'll be an Apex Predator. Each burn animal gets... Unlock an alchemy table. Oh. You remember earthquake? Festival in Norway. Yes, Kazu. Kazu, listen, okay? There's some goals that I have for this year, right? So, my first goal, get a better graphics card and a bit more RAM for my computer, and then we're gonna hit like maybe gold, whatever is after gold in Valorant. Okay. Yeah. And then in Apex, I want to play Apex more because I've been fiending to play Apex and it's a fun game. We're definitely not gonna make Predator by the end of this year. That's a big balls move, and I don't got much of it. But we're gonna play Apex. Also, I want to create a new PNG and kind of like rebrand for Twitch stream. Cause you know how I'm like a cat girl right now. I feel like cat girls are overdone. Like, the only thing differencing me is that I'm a devil cat girl, but that's besides the difference. I kind of want to change it up a bit. I'm thinking I want to be a snake charmer. Or we could still be a cat girl, but also be like a snake charmer as well. But I feel like that's just a lot. And then, yeah, that's basically it. And then I have to go to school. So like half my time I'm gonna be like doing assignments. I'm gonna like stream. Like, hi guys, this is a 1 hour stream because I'm taking a break from my homework. And then like 5 hours later, I'm be like, hi guys, I'm back. This is another 1 hour stream because like I'm fucking dying. And then the next day, I stream all day. You guys are just like, Kozu, did you finish your homework? About that. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna do my dailies in Star Rail, and then we'll see what happens after that. I'm fucking dying. Oh my god. And then our cute little karaoke stream. What if instead of doing like a karaoke actually, but then we could do 2 karaoke streams. Because then I was saying, instead of like doing a karaoke stream around my birthday, what if we did a karaoke stream like around Christmas time? I also have to make that little channel that you recommended, Kazu, for the Discord. Maybe we can do seasonal karaoke streams. That would be exciting. I forgot to change the game. Like, baby girl. I feel like the more I ask for Blade to come over, the less he's gonna come. Star. Veil. There we go. Ayo, Christmas karaoke? Yeah! Because I love Christmas. Christmas is my favorite season. So a Christmas karaoke stream would actually be really exciting. You know what would be funny? If we did like Christmas karaoke, but then also had like I'll be in like a channel in the Discord and like anyone can join and they can sing along. And then we'll like, it'll be group Christmas karaoke. Okay, but actually we should just do this over here. Dispatch again. Do you guys have favorite holidays? Or like, actually no, not seasons, because in seasons are different. Holidays are more specific. Take one photo. Can we? 1, 2, 3. We'd have to do it anyways. Okay. Alright. I hate the daily commissions in here. Because then they're just doing the same thing over and over again. This dude needs friends. The other dude needs another. Can we change where the commissions are done? Oh, that would be cool. Yeah. Although I don't know how many people would join. I feel like I wouldn't even join at that point because like I'm too fucking nervous. Not really. Oh, I like season. Okay, what's your favorite season then, Kazu? Skull emoji? Yeah, bro. Bro, I'm nervous to do karaoke stream. Why does he look like he's stinky? Oh shit. Wrong button. Sorry. Oh, and the fancy car, I see. So he's just a fraud. Can I get the kid in there? Wallace, I took a photo. Wallace, why are you back there? Okay, we can still talk to you. Fall for sure. Do you like it because of like the colors and like the pumpkin spice lattes and you can read and it's damn, you're making me miss fall now. The vibes are really good in fall. Like out of all the season, fall has like the coziest vibes. And the winter has more cooler vibes, but then you want to like stay in your house all day during winter time. Spring got allergies. If you got allergies, you are not the fondest. No one ever wants to be his friends. Is it because of us? Or because of him? I hope it's not because of us, because I just be clicking through those things. I don't care. Simulated Universe is double, because we're gonna speedrun the Simulated Universe. Which one's the easiest? We need this. Summer's my procrastination season. Really? Are you procrastinating because you just can't wait for you just can't wait for summer, so then your motivation goes down? And you're just like, yeah, you know, summer break's coming up, so we don't have to worry about it soon. Little did you know that soon is coming very soon. New Jeans? Let's play some New Jeans. I feel like we've gotten into the habit of always playing New Jeans, that now I always want to listen to New Jeans. Nah, the weather just makes me feel unproductive. Really? I find it not the opposite. I hear that it's the opposite. That like people are less productive in the colder seasons. Do you guys want the game volume on? I keep forgetting that I turned down the game volume.
Receive divinity. Repay. Nothing major. The dead return.
Is that too loud? What season do you find you're most productive in, Kazu? If you had to choose. Say you won't let go. James Arthur. 50-50. Did they cover that song? Any season besides summer? Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So summer is a season that's off the table. I'm assuming. Just do all of your homework before summer starts. But I would say most productive in fall. Really? I can see why fall, but the only reason I can see fall is because like fall is right when summer ends. So a lot of people kind of have that, you know, extra bit of like energy in them. Or like they're more inclined to do stuff. Take a photo. You don't even know. Ocean. So like with fall coming around and fall's like right when I feel like that's why they did it that way. Do we have enough for one wish? No, we're 20 short. Okay, we'll do this then. There's an oh, that's the simulated universe. Go. Okay. Navigate. Teleport. You always feel more productive or like more inclined to do something after like a huge break. That's why like you'll feel more productive in fall or like in winter after Christmas break. Then you only get those 2 breaks. Oh, sorry. Oh, did you know there's a 5th season in the show? 5th season? Is it raining season? Doesn't it rain a lot in Japan? Found you! A season of just... Yeah. Honestly, for someone who likes rain, that would be really exciting. But then for people who don't like rain, you can see how that can get like a bit like annoying. Do you guys like the rain? I feel like it's rare to find people who like the rain. Emoji. It's nice for people who work from home. Literally a good chunk of the people don't work from home. That's the sad part. So many people are traveling and then you have to like carry like umbrellas and stuff like that. Or if you don't bring an umbrella, it's even worse. People who work from home, you get up, you walk 2 meters, you're at work. Your work starts at, say, 8 o'clock. You have to get there for 7 normally. But then when you have to wake up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock. But if you work from home, you can just get up at like 6:50, 7 o'clock, and you're like already there. Oh, were you guys hiding because of the thing? Oh, the little kid is scared. She likes the monster. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Isn't this your tent? Okay, we're gonna stand here. This is our 60th wish. We're gonna wish with Luocha out. Maybe Luocha would summon Blade. No. Send this in it. View details. It doesn't update right away, does it? 8-1, yeah, it doesn't update today. Okay. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Wait. 65. 66, 67, 68, 69. We're at 70? Wait. So we're kind of close. I ain't even gonna lie to you. You think we're gonna get an early 5-star? I think we're gonna have to go all the way to 90. I'm scared. The only two things I can do are like the simulated universe and then the forgotten hall. Remaining count for the event double rewards. Oh, we can do this too. We don't really need that. For the Forgotten Hall, it's like more so a matter of like building teams together and like because this one it starts at 68. Ain't no way we're getting that done. But this one has potential. We at least completed it like once. Because the teams I was thinking is at least for this one we have to have Luocha and then see how both of these characters need wind, where in this but both of those characters need wind, because we can do this one. Jinyuan, I built Traveler. Is her name Traveler? I forgot her name. And that's the only other air. Is there any other wind characters? And then Shampoo. Yeah. But I don't even think we can get him, Kasi. That's the thing. Honestly, he's actually a pretty good character. Like, from what I've played of him, we can? How? Because if we can get him, and by rolling, you're actually doing my elo. I don't want to talk to you again. Okay, not for this one. Get out. Bro, LMAO, you actually got me excited for a second. I'm just like, wait, there might be a possibility where I can get him and go through things. And you said the only possibility we can't do. If we do this, and then this, This one. I want to use Pela, but at the same time, I feel like having a shield would be much better. I'm gonna try to use Pela, but then who can we fill with this one? It hurts because like this one, I think her thingies is that nihil? That's not nihility. Anyways, this one I only have one of those. For wind, I only have one of those, and then the rest are just multiples. Should we just use Himiko then? Or no, let's use another. Let's use Tingyan. We're gonna take a picture of this. This is not gonna work, but we're gonna slowly start building up this team because this is like the only other way we can get Stellar Jades. Or else I'm gonna die. I'm scared of Bilo though. Her healing makes me nervous. It's the one thing I've noticed about this because I played it last night and I was able to get through most of it. The thing is the amount of turns we have. It would be good to have a character that can speed up the rest of the stuff. But then that wouldn't work. Because we had to end with 12 or 6. I don't know if we can end with 12. Maybe upgrading their 18. How do we get back up to 18? What's the thing called? Their artifacts. Just like maxing out all of their artifacts would make a difference. Cause like a lot of them are like at level 6 and 7. But then doing this made me, is maxing out their artifacts my problem? That's the problem, Kazu. I think it is. Because, you know, at least with the simulated universe, I don't know if you experienced this, but like it makes you build characters that you wouldn't have. Well, light codes are important. Most of their light codes are maxed out though. That's the thing. Like are at 60 or 70. And oh, she's dead. And I can't get past the equilibrium level. See, yeah, relics it is. Okay. What we're gonna do, return. We're not gonna let them die. Cause at least for Ven now, I don't think having to get high equilibrium levels is our problem. Team setup. So we're gonna they don't even need to be good pieces, just max out. Yeah. What I do is I normally hello. Then do when they have the recommended relics, and then I go through them and see which one fits better, like with its crit rate or like whether they need more health or something. You know who we should level? We should level up this dude instead of Pela. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I feel like we should level, but then that hangs a DPS. Having 3 DPSs wouldn't make sense. Xiwan, we'll put Tingyun right beside you. I'm still so upset that Tingyun was evil character. I'm never getting over that. So then should we put Himiko instead? Cause he's a DPS, she's a support. That other girlie's a support. Okay. And details. Oh my god. Open daddy big. Oh, I was supposed to switch you guys' light cones. Silly me. Gotcha. I remember thinking of it, leveling it up, didn't touch attack, but you have break effect. We're going to have to enhance. I wish that wasn't imaginary. I'm gonna front with you. Payla's stuff is already decently high though, but Payla keeps dying. Payla needs more HP. Like a well-made broth, handmade noodles, and veggies with pork and pork. Oh, I see. Are you like a pork person or like chicken? Spicy chicken? I'm even gonna front with you. Spicy chicken hits different. We're gonna max this, try to close to max this out for Payla, because Payla keeps dying early. Payla can't be dying early anymore. I don't mind either, but personally I feel like pork goes all across. Honestly, you're kind of right with that one. I feel like chicken is just so tense that it doesn't like marinate in it well enough. Pork is like a sponge. Pork just eats that shit up. Pork's just like, hell yeah, this is Luocha. Oh, is there a different one that has outgoing, healing, damage, bonus? Crit damage, HP, defense. Luocha. Oh, we need an outgoing, healing, damage bonus, right? Yeah. Pork was just made for it. Thank you. Someone, when they were making pork, decided, okay, so this is how it's gonna be built, and it's just gonna work like that. Hi, Mr. Sparkle. I saw your name pop up, and I just thought it was so cute. But hi, Mr. Sparkle Fart. How are you? You make me think of a unicorn. Don't ask why. It just is. Stretch, Kieran. Posture check, bro. My posture, doing good. That's great to hear. And you, I'm even gonna front. Just relates to like the posture check. I have really bad cramps, so like I'm sitting in the most inconvenient position to like alleviate it. So I'm sorry, Kieran. I'm trying to do your posture check, but can I get a free pass this time? Sir, can I get a free pass? Oh my gosh. Mr. Sparkle Fight, do you play Starvale? This little bit is kind of boring. We've just been like leveling up relics so I can get through the what is it called? The Forgotten Hall. We've been talking about like everything under the sun before I get my ass beat again. And then we have New Jeans in the background because it's become a habit of listening to like New Jeans now. Yeah. I don't play Star Rail. I eat Star Rail. I breathe Star Rail. I live Star Rail. Oh my gosh. What? Okay, so my first question: are you wishing for Blade, or are you a Kafka Wanner? We're gonna start off with that because I have a habit of like throwing a bunch of questions at people and hoping one sticks. So I'm not gonna fall for that this time. If you want it, you can get it. If you want it, you can get it. She's taking up some. Got Blade? Oh, Skip Kafka. How is Blade? Bro, I thought I was at 60 wishes. I'm at 70 wishes. So I'm trying to get as much Stellar Jades as I can. How is Blade? Tell me about him. Cause anyone and everyone who has Blade, I'm making them tell me about him so I can like live vicariously through them. And then once Blade comes, I apologize for the person I'm gonna become when Blade's out. It's like, you know, when people have something and it becomes their personality. When I get Blade, he's gonna become my personality. This one's cute. This one has rubber duckies on it. I noticed it yesterday and I fell in love with that artifact set. We're gonna level up these ones because Tingyun's artifacts are like a little imbalanced. Also, Kieran, I hope you've hydrated. You've been in and out. You better be hydrating. Blade is legitimately OP as hell. He's like perfect balance. I built him pretty good so he does insane damage. Also cool. Oh. Do you have... Mr. Sparklefight, do you have Luocha? Or are you just like a singular blade haver and decide you're gonna conquer like the entirety of this universe with him? Yes, I have Luocha. Do you play them together? Cause like I heard a lot of people say Luocha and Blade are really good together. And that's like a huge reason why I kind of why I really want Blade. Oh, that's a max? You could only give it to 9? What the hell? They're like yin and yang. Oh, obviously playing them together. Hell yeah! That's what I like to hear. If you had to choose though, which one would you choose, Mr. Sparklefight? Addy? Hi, Arthur. Hello, hello, how are you? You remind me of someone else. They would always say howdy when they came in. I don't remember who though. Is this still New Jeans? Lightning damage boost. Hell yeah. I play Mohoyo games. Mohoyo? Hoyoverse? I play Hoyoverse games. And sometimes FPS. But my computer can't handle FPS games. So we mostly play comic games here. Or games that make us quietly rage. Can I tell people whenever they come in that right now I'm going through an identity crisis because I might rebrand my whole thingy soon? Oh my gosh. Tingyan and Himeko. Hopefully this works. If not, then... Edie, what did you, bro? This song? You like this song, Arthur? Bro, I'm obsessed with this song. I listen to it in like different versions so I don't get tired of it. You guys like this song? I don't have Japart. You actually don't, really? Clara and Belle. I like Clara because I really like mech characters and Frog is the closest to having. Ah. Honestly, Clara is broken. And she's broken because she doesn't wear shoes. There's something about characters who walk around barefoot that are just like 10 times better than the other. And it's like you can't even touch her. If you touch her, Sparg is there. Sparg is gonna beat you up. It's so... She's really OP. If there's like a list of OP characters, there's Clara, Blade, Luocha. That's all I know. Japard. But that's if you get Japard, like copies of Japard. He's like untouchable. What? Thank you for subscribing, Mrs. Bucklefight. Aw, you didn't have to. I never know what to say. I feel like there's always more I could say when someone subscribes, but thank you. It means a lot. She's too OP to wear shoes. Hell nah. Now you're defending her not being wearing shoes. Bro, okay. Arthur, guys, when the game first came out, I refused to play it mainly because I didn't want to treat it like Genshin and then get tired of it really quickly. And so I watched people playing it, the main person being cute. and it says their shoes are the leading cause to damage to little kids. You can get damaged by like the fucking, what's it called? Zippers. Do shoes have zippers on them? Cage apart, sweetie. We can't have you with a 3-star artifact. Okay, we have to have you with it. Physical, HP, quantum. You're not even quantum. You know what we should do? Oh, but that's physical too. Who's quantum? Switch it with for her. Okay. Physical damage boost. Imagine. What server do you play on? I play on NA servers. What servers do you play on, bestie? NA, and I also have an account on, what's it called? EU servers, but that's still fairly new. I haven't played much on EU servers. Planar sphere. Oh? This one works. HP create attack. I'm gonna do this one. Switch. Enhance. Oh, I play on you. Oh? I mean, if you want, I can add you on my EU account. I've been wanting to play on that more. I would just have to get the thingy. Quantum damage switch. I have it written down somewhere. Plan Gartic commercial enterprise. Hell yeah. Attack, HP, defense, attack. We have break effects. We're gonna take effect hit rate. Switch? Sure, feel free to add. Yes, sir. Give me like 2 seconds to start this fight, and then I'll give you my thingy. Enhance. Thumbs up? Yeah. I feel like after this, if I don't make it through, then I'll probably head out from there, even if I do. So I'm dying. Okay, so Bilo is what we're counting our monies on, because right now she's not really holding her weight right now. You and Himeko. She keeps getting... My account is chilling up. I've heard that as support with crazy relic build. You make the unconventional conventional. Honestly, that's the greatest. Because then it, like, as long as... Because you're not, like, following kind of game meta, you know? You're mainly only, like, doing it for, like, yourself at that point. To, like, have fun. I taking support characters and making them damage characters. People are just like, but what? What are you doing? And you're just like, but look, they're doing damage. She's at 70. 70! 190 crit. God damn. Mr. Sparklefart, what's the highest you've... Like the highest amount of damage you've gotten? trying to find my thingy. Found it. Here's my UID, Mr. Sparklefoot. Ignore my thing, cause like it's freaking. I don't even remember what level I'm on that one. I just got it high enough to add friends and then I stopped playing. I should play it more. I'll probably play it more. On achievement, it's 1.68 million. God damn. And with Hertha too, damn. Doesn't Hertha do like the AoE damage? You're better than me. I think mine's only like a couple 100,000. Not with Hertha though. Oh, was she like on the team? That record was for Sela. Bro, Sela's OP. I'm not gonna lie to you. She is still pretty good. I wish more people had her as a support again though. Cause like that's the only interaction I had with her. Cause I wasn't interested, so I just like didn't get her. Okay bros, you know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna focus all of our damage on the middle guy. Right? Where's the other ones? My game's broken. What? There we go. I don't think we're gonna have enough to complete all of it though. We're at 13 cycles? God damn it. You reckon we can do this? But if we like do it ourselves and still get it high enough? This one, Japard. Japard is what's holding the team down. We can't do more damage. Come on, Jeppy. I still use Seal and I'm so glad I pulled her because I like playing her. She's so cool. Isn't it because she also has like the speed thing? So like you can play her multiple times in a row. She's really good if you're like a person who likes the speed. We're gonna get them to do this half and we'll do the second half. So if with this one you still have to defeat all of them no matter what. The one thing though, autoplay is not always the greatest because autoplay doesn't focus like the right elements on the right characters sometimes. Okay, so you have to defeat both of them. We're gonna do that, and then we're gonna use. We're just gonna focus on one of them. And then hopefully focusing on one of them instead of all of them. You are not. You have to defeat them. Sadness.
No interest in conflict.
Yeah, Sila can play like 4 times. Yeah, 6 times with Branya, 8 times if your Branya has high speed. Damn. You guys trapped the wrong characters. Branya is so OP. Well, not OP as in like the sense of like everyone OP, but like OP is like. I should have just continued the first time. Can I? But you locked up your part too, bro. I actually hate all of you. But I have so much more fun with Herta. As you should. Herta's so amazing. Like, not many people play Herta, however you pronounce it. Not many people play her. You were the wrong dude. It's okay. I also play Himiko. People don't like Himiko? I feel like everyone loved Himiko when she first came out. It's your part, sweetie. I don't see anything wrong with Himiko. Himiko is such a cool character. And she does so much, like, not aerial attack, but like AoE damage.
This ends here.
I want to restart. They like her design, not her kit, because she's too hard to, but actually. I think she's pretty strong, not even gonna lie to you. She's like a character that's hard to build, but it's worth it once you like get her fully built. You know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna try to finish this. And see how it goes. And then maybe I'll try again afterwards. After this one's completed. Because the shield and the little shorty is okay, but then we need like... Does this take fire? Because then we can use the fire MC. This one doesn't take fire, does it? I also play March. You like playing like the unconventional, have no down characters? Okay, so we failed that one. Could be our last run though. Mr. Spucker Fight, you like playing the unconventional characters, which is like, it's cool. I stopped playing March, I just simply didn't like March. I'm not gonna lie. March felt like Amber from Genshin. Because I kind of fell into the people who stopped playing her when I got like Japard. Mainly because, but maybe you're convincing me, low-key, to build March back up. Because maybe March will do more damage. Mrs. Sparklefart, I'm gonna go build March, and we're gonna see if she helps me in this. And if she does, next time we hear her, I'm gonna be like, thank you for saving me. I enjoy her, but she's very well built. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people solo things with March, and she can do great amount of damage if you build her right. Also, her E6 can hit. Really? I don't know what I have her on. Characters. March. She's E4. You can't see her, but she's E4. Maybe I'm gonna try to use March. Mr. Sparklefire, I'm gonna build March, and we're gonna see how this goes. But I'm also gonna head out because I'm lucky dying. My brain is drawing a blank. Thank you all for stopping by, and Mr. Sparklefire for the follow and sub. It means a lot. Next stream, I'm gonna stream again on Friday, or at least try to. Take care. We'll swing by next time. Of course. Thank you. It was lovely meeting you. Next stream will most likely be on Friday. If anything happens, then I'll stream again on Saturday. And if, you know, things go wrong, then maybe I'll upload like a YouTube video. The game we're gonna play, added the Europe account. Yay! Once I finish, like, once I get Blade on this account, I'm gonna spend more time on the EU account. So you'll see me over there soon, Mr. Sparklefire. Yeah, I'm not too sure what game we're gonna play on Friday, but we'll see. Thank you all for stopping by. It was lovely chatting with you. Make sure to eat and hydrate and take care of yourself and all that fun stuff. And I will see you guys soon. Bye bye.